Good afternoon. This is Lawrence Britter here at Wondercon with the amazing designer of all the costumes of our favorite shows from the MCU.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Maslansky. I'm the costume designer for Daredevil Season 1, Jessica Jones Season 1, Luke Cage Season 1, and an upcoming another superhero I'm not allowed to discuss yet, but you'll probably know who he is shortly.
I have very many ideas on this. So I actually want to talk about the actual development of the costumes. As you spoke in the panel, Streaming Success, about having the realistic versions of the costumes themselves, a lot comes into how you would do it. So like the selection of materials and stuff like that, and also for what they do. And I'm also assuming that you think about some of their powers in what they'd have to do. So could you talk a little bit about that? Powers and abilities.
Powers and abilities.
Well, you think about some of the
tie into the costumes.
yeah, how you think about some of the materials that they might use and stuff like that. It's like, for example, Jessica Jones might not need the armor that Daredevil actually needs, because while Daredevil has the super senses, he doesn't have like the super invulnerability of Jessica or Luke Cage.
Right.
So could you talk about some of that when translating that to screen?
Well, certainly, because these guys, there's a lot of action within their characters. I mean, really, this is what it's all about. And plus, they're all stunt doubles. And it was just, we talked about how brilliant the stunt doubles are, all of these characters. So nice to meet you. It's important for their clothes to be pliable and malleable, and for them to be able to move. And sometimes we have to assist the clothes. We have to put stretchy fabrics in a certain area. We have to maybe add gussets to their jackets. For example, if there were a lot of scenes, there were a lot of scenes, at least in Daredevil Season 1, in which Matt Murdock had to go running around wearing a suit, and
suits tear.
And you have to be, you can't just put him in a little suit that doesn't have any stretch to it. Stretchy fabric is our friend when it comes to costumes, especially costumes made out of real clothing. Jeans with stretch in them. Leather is very pliable. T-shirts are, of course, stretchy. All of this has to be taken into consideration, and in particular, footwear is extremely important. It has to be comfortable. You can't have an actor complain that his feet have been destroyed and that he can't move anymore because of the footwear.
And then particulars on the look, what's some of the, such as, so that it has to also like be comfortable, it also has to look to certain ways. So what's some of the things you think about when doing the adaptions for something like that?
Well, I have to think about how, exactly what I've just been talking about, how to make these clothes comfortable for them. Whether it be, again, you're talking about the real life costumes or the actual superhero costumes that we created, for example, Daredevil?
I'd say like the ones that you would possibly create, like for the look and how the actors can move. Not necessarily the stunt doubles who are fighting, but like in some of the scenes where they're like where they're wearing it and stuff. So the mix of the look versus the comfort and stuff like that.
Well, first of all, it always has to look a certain way, and in Jessica Jones' case, we evolved her look to be, in fittings, we evolved her look to be exactly what you see on the screen, which is a leather jacket, and a tank top, or a sweater, or a sweatshirt. And fortunately, those kind of items have a lot of pliability to them, and they look really badass and cool. So we were lucky in that respect. But you really, when you're doing these superheroes and they're dressed in clothing that people wear on a day-to-day basis, you just have to be careful to choose items that look really great, that are also really comfortable, or you have to adapt them. You have to work with tailors and seamstresses to make them be that way.
And then the decision, and then so basically with some of the looks, how do you choose like some of the color schemes and palettes for them?
That is a real collaboration. It's something that is, we of course pay attention to the origins of these superheroes, but then also each showrunner, each executive producer, each person in charge of the look and the feel and the tone of the show has their own ideas about how it's going to feel and how it's going to look. And I mean, the shows are pretty dark to begin with.
Yeah, so
in essence, the shows have taken a a deeper, more muted, richer,
muted tones.
darker tone.
So you couldn't have like super shiny red Daredevil. You'd have to have it these more muted tones, because if you're fighting crime in the streets at night in a bright shiny outfit, probably not the best idea.
True, but at the same time, if you were to compare the look of Jessica Jones to the look of the Daredevil season 1, Daredevil season 1 is extremely dark, whereas Jessica Jones there were certain characters that incorporated a little bit more color. For example, Jessica's best friend Trish was a celebrity and a fashion person, and she wore clothing that was very, very recognizable or visible as designer clothing, and that's actually something that I really enjoy doing, which is incorporating fashion into it.
And also for the original costume she picked out for Jessica when she was active.
Yeah, well, that was, in the show, in this story as it was written, that was a little bit of a joke. I mean, she said it was just really a prototype. But I think that she would have secretly loved to. She wanted Jessica to put the costume on, and Jessica wasn't going to put that costume on her dead body.
So speaking of actual prototypes, this goes into a little bit of the story writing, but as a costume designer and everything, do you think that and since cosplay it has been registered to exist in the Marvel Cinematic and TV universe by Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. with the start cosplaying fangirls, yes, that's a thing, that's for the audience. Do you think that actually some of the characters would actually have the ability, story-wise, to actually be able to create their own costumes as we may have seen them to like the show, but actually create them themselves story-wise, and then you could be able to design it for them like that?
I don't understand your question. I'm sorry.
Basically, because that cosplay is an entity in the universe, and as we've seen that a lot of the characters actually haven't made their own costumes, do you think that we'll actually be able to see them more, like story-wise, make their own costumes, such as Luke Cage doing his iconic yellow and black and stuff like that, as opposed to like have Daredevil have it being made?
I don't think so. I think that as part of, in the comics, Daredevil made his own costume, and he made it out of elements of his father's boxing gear. I think our show, these shows are grounded in this really authentic New York reality, and I just don't think that has come into play, and I'm not sure it would. I think that they have other pressing concerns. These characters have other pressing concerns.
Then let's make our own costumes.
Yeah.
But that's why they have the great seam and costume people, story-wise, and then behind the scenes, such as yourself, to make them look spectacular and keep them safe.
Yeah. But I also really love the existence of Melvin Potter. I mean, he was a character in the comics, and he came into play in Daredevil, and who knows, maybe they'll write him into some of the other shows.
That'd be very exciting.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. It was really great to speak with you.
Thank you.